Good morning, 9 to 12 friends. Now it's time to put our patterns into practice. Get those zentangles into a little piece of fun art with your name in it. Today I'd like to show you how to make a basic block or bubble letter. I'll also share some additional YouTube videos that you can check out if you want to further practice this. But I'll show you just kind of the basics. They're not too difficult to do, but you'll probably need to practice it a couple times in your sketchbook before you put it down on your project paper. Once you write your name, you want to make it nice and big so it fills your paper, and then you're going to decorate it, either filling the inside of the letters or the outside, the background behind, with these zentangle patterns that you made. And then your option for whether you're filling the letters or the background, part of that should maybe be made based on how big you're able to make your letters. If your letters are really small in the middle, you're going to have too much empty space on your paper. So then you should fill the background with your patterns. If you're able to make your block letters really big that they fill the majority of your paper, then decorate on the inside or make your own choice. But I do want to make sure that, well over half of the paper should be filled with these zentangle patterns. All right, I'm going to switch my camera and show you how to get started. I've got one example here. So in this case, I did my kind of bubble and block letters here, and I decorated the background. You can see a number of different zentangle patterns, some very similar to the ones we practiced, others I kind of came up with on my own. You can see lots of designs. You can see some are just simple stripes or spirals, curly lines. So there's some basic patterns in there, but there's also a handful of these more complicated kind of zentangle designs. It's taking patterns into more of a design aspect. And so I do want to see a combination of the two. I don't expect everything on here to be really intricate patterning designs, but I do want to see a couple of those. I hope that makes sense. Please message me if it's not clear. So let's go ahead and first look at how to make a block or bubble letter. You should start this work in your sketchbook so that you can practice a few times. Maybe just practice with 1 or 2 letters in your name. And you want to practice with a pencil. What I'm going to do is use a gray marker for my pencil lines and then show you with a black marker the parts that you would trace harder, that you wouldn't erase. All right, so again, you really want to make big letters that fill your name. If you have a really long name, you might think about putting half at the top and half at the bottom. You're welcome to orient your paper this way too. Otherwise, you want to make it nice and big. I'm going to show you first just with the letter A, how to make it as a block letter or a bubble letter. The best way to get started is just to make a capital letter. So I have a nice big capital letter here. And again, it's done in gray because that's my pencil lines. Then with a darker pencil line, or maybe I might do it in pencil first and then trace over top, you're welcome to use your Sharpie for this assignment, or you can simply just use your black marker. You're going to kind of create some space around that letter, right? Maybe like 1/2 inch or so. Duplicate the lines around your letter. Do that to the inside as well. And then don't forget the inside of the A. So then this gray line here is the part I erase, and I'm left with a nice clean block letter. And then you can see within this block letter, that's when I would start to fill it with patterns. Your big block letters, you should consider not just filling it with one pattern, but filling it with multiple. So here's another one that I started where you can see, through some of these big letters, I drew a line through and I did 2 different patterns. All right, so let's look at more of a bubble letter, so more of a rounded letter. So there's a few different ways you can do that. So yellow will represent my pencil. Remember, we kind of start these with a normal capital letter. It's going to help us kind of map out the space that we're going to draw our bubble letter in. All right, so I'm demonstrating with my A. There's two different ways to do this. The first is similar to the block letter. It's just tracing the space, but instead of squaring it off, we're just going to round it out. Okay, so no straight lines, just curved lines, and then the yellow gets erased. The other way to do that adds an additional step in, but it allows you to then just trace an exact line, not have to just move out the space and kind of freehand it a little bit around that A. So the next step, once you draw it out, is each segment here, we're going to make that, we're going to put a bubble around it. Okay, so each line gets a little bubble, a little oval around it. Then I take my marker or, my pencil and make it darker, and I just trace the outline here. And then I have another block letter, and then the yellow again would get erased. And then inside there is where you can start to decorate your zentangle patterns, or you could choose to do the reverse and do the background like in the example. If you're looking to do the background, the best way I think to start is after you write out your name. That works. After you write out your name, just take a bunch of lines out to the end. So you just kind of spider web it out. And then so what you're doing is you're creating these different segments or boxes for your patterns. Now, I think it's important to make them not too large, otherwise the pattern gets a little too repetitive. It's not fun anymore. It gets a little annoying. So good sized boxes, not too big, ones where you can still explore the pattern and repeat it enough, or explore the design and repeat it enough. So again, zentangles are usually done in black and white. If you want to add a little bit of color, that's fine. I do want to be able to see some bright contrast to your patterns. It needs to be really clear that I can see your zentangles and your designs. Keep in mind too, they don't all need to be super complex. I do know that some of the other zentangles are a little bit more challenging, but we filled a lot of those zentangle boxes within 5 to 10 minutes each, 10 minutes on the harder ones. So I really think it's doable to break it down into a handful of spots and be able to finish this. You might not finish on Friday. Our normal work week gives us almost the entire Thursday and Friday towards our assignment. But because we had our Tuesday more as an orientation, you're going to want to use your Monday independent drawing time probably to finish this up and upload it then. Remember, your assignments are due on Mondays. You're using your art time on Monday to upload it to Art Sonia. And I will cover that again in another video in class tomorrow and in another video just to walk you through those step-by-steps. On this one, remember, if I'm going to do the backgrounds, then I don't really need to do my name. I do want to erase my pencil there, but I could color that in a nice bright color and make that pop too. If you want to get out your Sharpie to trace your lines, that's going to give you the biggest contrast. You could also probably achieve that contrast pretty well just with your Crayola marker. Just remember that when you're working, it is a really smart idea, for the sake of your household, have a scrap paper around that can stay underneath your work. So as you're drawing towards the end and you go over the top, that mark, especially if you're using Sharpies, that mark does not go off your paper. Your project paper is a little bit thicker than normal copy paper, so your Sharpie shouldn't bleed through too much, but it still, again, is a really good idea to have a piece of scrap paper underneath just in case. If you should accidentally get some Sharpie marks on your workspace, you can use rubbing alcohol to remove that Sharpie from the workspace. If you have any questions or need any help, message me on Schoology. I'm really happy to help film a little video to shoot back at you that will demonstrate how to plot your name out specifically. I know it's really easy to look at an A and to do that one first, but if it's not your letter, sometimes that's a little harder. So if you're struggling with the block letters and you want to learn how to do that, shoot me a message. I'll film a video showing you how I would write your name in the space. There's one more option. If you are saying, oh my gosh, Miss Tess, I have tried these bubble and block letters. I am so frustrated, I'm ready to give up. Remember, I really wanted you to have fun exploring with art and using art, learning to use art as a little bit of an outlet. And these zentangle patterns are supposed to be a little bit relaxing for you to be working on. I don't want this to be a stressful assignment. I don't want any of your assignments to be stressful. So message me on Schoology if you are finding art to be stressful. But here's another option. If you say, I've tried the block letters, it's not working for me, I'm ready to move on and just do the zentangle part. Here's what I would recommend doing. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to create a bubble in the middle of your page. And then just write your name in it, nice and big. Okay, that way your name is still central into your art assignment. And then from there, spiderweb it outwards. Break this up, create some different sections, break up the page to show the patterns. I want you to practice making designs. That is practicing our lines, our shapes, adding some color. These are all the best ways for us to get warmed back up. Right? You can just do a simple, lines outward, just radiating outwards. You can break them into smaller sections. Right? The more sections you make, the more different patterns you're going to have to come up with. You've got a book full of ideas. So this would be an option if you're like, Miss Tess, I tried. Bubble letters, block letters, not for me. This is your alternative. I hope you have fun. I can't wait to see what you do. I hope you come up with some artwork that's fun, that you're proud of, you can hang up in your room, hang up on your door, claim your space, and make some patterns that maybe help you to relax as you get into meditative mind space.